Thank you for tuning into Ellensburg Amplifier Repair and Service once again. So what I'm going to be doing today is just giving a brief demonstration on how I remove surface mount ICs. I've had some questions about using hot air, irons, my process. Everyone has their own way of soldering or desoldering or removing components. Me particularly, I don't like to repair traces, so I don't like to use hot air. I learned early on that hot air is just not controllable enough for me and the ICs that I use. Kind of like the IRS 21844 IC, which is sensitive to heat. It's kind of hard to really gauge how hot that IC is getting. I mean, sure, you can check the temperature of your air, but still, it's unknown. And of course, you do it too many times, you're going to start pulling traces. So what I do is I use a little bit of Amtech Flux, and I use the SRA fast chip. That's a SMD Removal alloy. It's a low temp alloy. Comes in sticks, and that's what I use for removing ICs. So what I typically do is I just use some flux. The flux is pretty much a requirement when it comes to using this low temp alloy. And then I'll just take my iron, put a little bit of low temp alloy right on the tip of my iron, and I'll drag it right across the pins of the IC. It does not take very much of this at all. So I have my iron set to 400 degrees Celsius. I'm not worried about really the IC that's coming off. And then I'm going to lower the temperature to put the new IC on. So as you see there, it just takes just a few seconds to pop that old IC off. So then I take my solder wick and wick up all that low temp alloy. You don't want to leave any of that low temp alloy behind, because of course as the board heats up, you don't want that low temp alloy to soften up on you. So I just use some Chemtronics Chemwick solder braid here just to remove that low temp alloy. Just drag it just lightly across the traces. Just like that. What I'm going to do is lower my iron down. And what I'll do is I'll take this new IC. This is a 494 driver IC, by the way, just to let you know. I will take the new IC and I will put it in place. And then I'll just take just a small little dab of solder on the tip of my iron. And I will just touch two opposite corner legs there, just to pin the IC in place. Double check how it's laid out. Is it centered? Is it in the right orientation? There's the line, there's the notch. And then from there, what I do is I just take a little bit of solder on the tip of my iron, and just like that, the new IC is soldered in place. And then I'll just take a Q-tip and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and clean up the board. And that is how I replace surface mount components. a little bit of low temp alloy, again, the SRA fast chip low temp alloy, with some Amtech flux, and with those two things combined together, makes removal of ICs and makes soldering of ICs just that much easier without heating up the whole board. So I hope you find this information useful. You can find all this stuff online. It's pretty relatively easy to get. The low temp alloy is kind of expensive, but it is definitely a lifesaver on traces on boards, so I find it very useful in comparison to using hot air. So I hope you enjoy that. If you like that, please like and subscribe, and check out my website, ellensburgamplifier.com, for available amplifiers. I thank you, and I will see you later.